Hi guys, in this video we are going to talk about the Regulating Act of 1773. This is very important act from the perspective of modern India as for the pre as for the mains as well. Okay, so Regulating Act of 1773 was the first landmark in the constitutional development of India. Why this act? The British Parliament for the first time interfered into the affairs of India. That is why it becomes important, because for the first time in the history of modern India, the British Parliament interfered into the affairs of India. The Prime Minister of England at the time of Regulating Act of 1773 was Lord North. That's what we have to keep in mind as well. So without delaying further, let's move to the next slide. So first of all, let's talk about the administration of East India Company at the time of Regulating Act of 1773. जब रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट ऑफ 1773 आया तो ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी किस तरह से इंडिया में मैनेज कर रही थी और क्या एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के जो तरीके वो यूज कर रही थी प्लस क्या स्टेटस था. सो सबसे पहले, before we delve into the details of this act, let's understand how the East India Company was managed at that time. Administration of East India Company in England was managed by a body of 24 directors called the Court of Directors. As you can see here, 24 directors were there and they were used to be called as Court of Directors. This Court of Directors was elected by shareholders of the company on annual basis. As you can see here that they were elected by shareholders of company, and these shareholders of the company were used to be called as Court of Proprietors. Okay, the day-to-day functioning of the East India Company were done by the committee of the Court of Directors. So these 24 directors or the Court of Directors used to run the day-to-day business of the company. Okay, in India, three presidencies were there. Okay, so what were those presidencies? So those presidencies were Bombay, Madras and Bengal. So in India, three presidencies were established at Bombay, Madras and Kolkata under a president called Governor General and his council. So who was the master of these three presidencies? It was the Governor General of Bengal. Okay, under Governor General and his council, or Governor General in council. So Governor General of Bengal became supreme by the 1773 Act. But इन तीनों बॉम्बे, मद्रास और बंगाल के अलग अलग गवर्नर्स भी होते थे जो मैनेज करते थे इनको, और उनको कहा जाता था केवल गवर्नर, और उनकी एक खुद की काउंसिल होती थी जिसको कहते थे गवर्नर इन काउंसिल. मतलब पूरी बॉडी को विद गवर्नर एंड काउंसिल. तो बेसिकली उस गवर्नर को गवर्नर कहते थे. ये जी डबल एड जो किया हुआ है इसको इग्नोर कीजिए, बस ये याद रखिए कि गवर्नर कहते थे उसको, और उसकी काउंसिल भी होती थी अलग अलग तीनों प्रेसिडेंसीज में. अब इस 1773 के एक्ट से क्या होगा ये हम देख लेंगे आगे चल के. ठीक है, सबसे पहले हम ये देखते हैं कि वाई देयर वाज अ नीड टू, मतलब to bring this regulating act of 1773. Okay, so ये जो तीनों प्रेसिडेंसीज थी बॉम्बे, मद्रास एंड बंगाल, ये पहले 1773 के एक्ट आने से पहले all the three were independent from each other. These presidencies were independent of each other and each of them was an absolute government in its own limits, only responsible to the Court of Directors in England. So Court of Directors was a body that was used to governing all these affairs of the company. So they were based in England. Okay, so now moving forward and talking about what circumstances that led to the Regulating Act of 1773. The Battle of Plassey, you might have been remembering, the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar led to the firm establishment of the territorial dominance of East India Company in India. While the Battle of Plassey जो 1757 में हुई थी सिराजुद्दौला के बीच में और ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी के बीच में, तो उन्होंने प्लासी हड़प ली थी. और बैटल ऑफ बक्सर के बाद उन्हें जो 1764 में हुई थी, तीन जो राजा थे बेसिकली, अवध और मीर कासिम के, जो बंगाल के मीर कासिम और बेसिकली अवध का शुजाउद्दौला और शाह आलम टू, इन तीनों ने मिलकर जो ब्रिटिश के अगेंस्ट जो युद्ध किया था उसमें फिर बाद में जो इनकी ब्रिटिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी की जीत हुई थी उसमें दीवानी राइट्स मिले थे कंपनी को. आपको याद होगा रॉबर्ट क्लाइव ने ड्वेल सिस्टम ऑफ गवर्नेंस लाया था. इफ यू रिमेंबर ड्वेल सिस्टम ऑफ गवर्नेंस ऑफ क्लाइव, उसके तहत जो है जो दीवानी का राइट मिला था वो मिला था आपके कंपनी को, और निजामत का यानी कि टेरिटोरियल जुरिस्डिक्शन का हक मिला था पपेट नवाब्स को. मतलब दे हैड द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बट नो पावर एंड द कंपनी हैड द पावर बट नो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. ओके, सो At that time, their territories in the country included parts of current states of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Goa, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Orissa, West Bengal, Bihar, and Uttar Pradesh. With these two important wars, the Nawab of Awadh became their ally, while Mughal Emperor Shah Alam became their pensioner. Bengal and Bihar came under the dual system of administration of Clive, whereby company got Diwani rights of the fiscal administration rights, while Nizamat jurisdiction was with the puppet Nawabs. However, this system had various problems. अब ये जो निजामत का और दीवानी का जो सिस्टम इन्होंने क्रिएट किया था उसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम थी? दिस सिस्टम नॉट ओनली क्रिएटेड कंफ्यूजन but also left the people helpless against the oppression by both company and Nawabs. The British Parliament could not remain a mute spectator, and thus regulation of the trading companies was very much necessary. That's why this act was brought in. The servants of the company had become very much corrupt. Many of them retired and took away the heaps of wealth to the England and lived with very much prestige and very much richness in their own life, like Indian Nawabs, thus correctly nicknamed as English Naboobs. They were called Naboobs back home in England. In 1772, a secret parliament committee reported that the servants of the company, included Clive, had received large sums or jagirs. Okay, the corruption was rampant. The corruption was so prevalent that the servants of the company led it to the brink of the financial bankruptcy in early 1770s. And in 1772, the company had applied for big amount of loans, or you can say £1 million to the British government. That is why it acted as an excuse by the British government for controlling the affairs of the company back home in India. Okay, so this was enough for the parliament to grab the opportunity, cross-examine the doings of the company and its official, and then enact a legislation to regulate its affairs. That is why the Regulating Act of 1773 was brought in. Okay, so what was the provision and what was the objectives of this act? First of all, talk about the objective of this act. The objective of this act was to address the problem of management of company in India, address the problem of dual system of governance instituted by Lord Clive, to control the company which had morphed from a business entity to a semi-sovereign political entity. Okay, so now talking about the key provisions of the Regulating Act of 1773. What were the key provision? The key provision were creation of office of governor at the presidency of Fort William. तो जो आपका फोर्ट विलियम यानी कि आपका जो बंगाल का जो गवर्नर था उसको आप गवर्नर ऑफ बंगाल बोलेंगे या गवर्नर ऑफ फोर्ट विलियम बोलेंगे, ठीक है, और वो जो होगा उसको थोड़ी ज्यादा हक देंगे इन कंपैरिजन टू मद्रास एंड बॉम्बे. चेंजेस इन वोटिंग क्वालिफिकेशन, आपकी जो वोटिंग क्वालिफिकेशन थी कोर्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स की, प्रोप्राइटर्स की, वो चेंज की गई, उनकी कुछ सिचुएशन चेंज की जिसकी आगे बात करेंगे. एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट बनाया कलकत्ता में और कंपनी के ऊपर कंट्रोल जो है वो बढ़ा दिया. ओके, So first of all, talking about the creation of office of governor. अब आपको अगर गवर्नर जनरल और वायसराय में डिफरेंस समझना है तो आप ये पैरा पढ़ लीजिएगा. वैसे इसको भी हम फिर से पढ़ लेंगे. तो पहले हम ये देख लेते हैं कि बेसिकली जो ऑफिस क्रिएट हुआ गवर्नर का, प्रेसिडेंसी ऑफ फोर्ट विलियम या गवर्नर ऑफ बंगाल, इसका क्या मायने है? द प्रेसिडेंसीज ऑफ बॉम्बे एंड मद्रास वाज मेड सबऑर्डिनेट टू द प्रेसिडेंसी ऑफ कलकत्ता. जो बॉम्बे और मद्रास के बेसिकली जो presidency, they became subordinate to the presidency of Calcutta. The governor of Bengal was designated the governor of the presidency of Fort William, and he was to serve as governor general of all British territories in India. This governor general was to be assisted by an executive council of 4 members. Okay, so इस गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल के जो बंदे थे जो उसको असिस्ट करने वाले थे, they were basically the council members. They were 4 in number. This number is important because sometimes prelims में क्वेश्चन पूछ लेते हैं. As per the act, office of the governor general of the presidency of Fort William was created in 1773. And on 20th October 1773, Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of Bengal. Okay, so that's what you have to remember. और आपको याद रखना है कि अभी इसको केवल गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल बोला जाएगा, इंडिया नहीं बोला जाएगा. इंडिया का गवर्नर जनरल बनेगा आपका विलियम बेंटिक, वो बनेगा 1833 में. ठीक है, ये था गवर्नर ऑफ बंगाल और गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल. गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल और गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ इंडिया में फर्क होगा. 1833 में इंडिया का गवर्नर जनरल बनेगा विलियम बेंटिक. हालांकि ये जो गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल की जो पोस्ट है वो वही है, बस नाम चेंज होगा. जब आपका बेसिकली वो विलियम बेंटिक बनेगा और तब बहुत ज्यादा हक विलियम बेंटिक के टाइम पे दिए जाएंगे। तो अभी के लिए इतना समझ लीजिए। वॉरेन हेस्टिंग्स बिकेम द फर्स्ट गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल। द मेंबर ऑफ द काउंसिल वर, basically if you want to remember the names, they were Lieutenant General John Clavering, George Monson, Richard Beerwell and Philip Frankis. Though these names are not important, just ignore it. These members could be removed only by the British monarch, king or queen on representation from court of directors. That you have to remember. They were, the 4 members could remove only by the British monarch on representation from court of directors. अब आपको डिफरेंस की बात कर लेते हैं। गवर्नर जनरल और वायसराय में कई लोगों को कंफ्यूजन हो जाता है, तो आप बस एक बात याद रखिए कि आपको ये तो समझ में आ गया कि गवर्नर ऑफ प्रेसिडेंसी ऑफ फोर्ट विलियम और गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल तो आपका बना था 1773 में, और गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ इंडिया बनेगा लॉर्ड विलियम बेंटिक 1833 में। ठीक है, और 1858 के बाद क्या होगा, जब इंडिया की जो ब्रिटिश इंडिया की जो कंपनी मैनेज करी थी ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी, तो 1858 के बाद जब वो रिवॉल्ट हो जाएगा, उसके बाद जो है ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट टेक ओवर कर लेगी गवर्नेंस को। उसके बाद जो गवर्नर जनरल की जगह जो ऑफिस बनाया वो वाइस, मतलब गवर्नर जनरल को ही वायसराय बोलेंगे। ठीक है, तो 1858 के बाद नाम चेंज होकर के वायसराय हो जाता है, बस इतना आपको याद रखना है। अब आगे बढ़ते हैं। नाउ टॉकिंग अबाउट द बेसिकली चेंजिंग इन वोटिंग क्वालिफिकेशन। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी विल टॉक अबाउट चेंजिंग इन वोटिंग क्वालिफिकेशन। उससे पहले बात कर लेते हैं कि गवर्नर इन काउंसिल ऑफ बॉम्बे एंड मद्रास वर रिक्वायर्ड टू पे ड्यू ओबीडियंस टू द ऑर्डर्स ऑफ गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल। जो हमने देखा था कि बॉम्बे और मद्रास को सबऑर्डिनेट बना दिया था इसके, और उनको जो है इसकी बातें माननी थी वॉरेन हेस्टिंग्स की, जो गवर्नर जनरल ऑफ बंगाल था। गवर्नर जनरल इन काउंसिल वाज given, this governor general or basically Warren Hastings was given powers to make rules, ordinances and regulations. These rules and regulations were required to be registered with the Supreme Court and could be dissolved by the king in council within 2 years. Here it is written. Okay, so basically ये जो है रूल बना सकते थे, रेगुलेशन बना सकते थे, और ये जो रूल रेगुलेशन बनाएंगे ये 2 साल के अंदर जो है किंग द्वारा आपके डिसॉल्व किए जा सकते हैं, अगर किंग इनको इनके रूल्स रेगुलेशन को डिसॉल्व करना चाहे। अब वोटिंग पैटर्न में क्या डिफरेंस आया, अब ये देख लेते हैं। बेसिकली this act raised the qualification for a vote in the court of proprietors from 500 sterlings to 1000 sterlings. Okay, here it is written, you can see here. This act basically raised the qualification for a vote in the court of proprietors from 500 यूरोज। आपको कोर्ट ऑफ प्रोप्राइटर से याद होगा जो शेयर होल्डर्स होते थे। ठीक है, तो जो शेयर होल्डर्स थे वो कोर्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स को इलेक्ट करते थे, तो उनके लिए, उनको इलेक्ट करने के काबिल होने के लिए उनके पास एक डेफिनेट, मतलब एक उनको फीस जमा करनी पड़ती थी। तो वो जो फीस थी बेसिकली 500 स्टर्लिंग से 1000 बेसिकली 500 स्टर्लिंग से 1000 स्टर्लिंग कर दी गई। फर्दर इंस्टेड ऑफ द एनुअल इलेक्शन की जगह अब जो है आपको 4 साल के इलेक्शन होने लगे, मतलब कोर्ट ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स विल नाउ बी चूजन फॉर 4 years. ओके, सो द एक्ट प्रोवाइडेड दैट द डायरेक्टर्स टू होल्ड ऑफिस फॉर 4 years एंड अ क्वार्टर ऑफ नंबर ऑफ बीइंग एनुअली री इलेक्टेड। 1/4 जो है अब हर साल री इलेक्ट होंगे, राज्यसभा जैसा कुछ बना दिया था। तो ये राज्यसभा को दिमाग से निकाल दीजिए, बस आपको जो रिटायर हो रहे हैं उसके लिए बताया, हर साल जो है कुछ रिटायर होंगे, और एक क्वार्टर ऑफ नंबर ऑफ बीइंग एनुअली री इलेक्टेड, 1/4 जो है फिर से री इलेक्ट होंगे। द डायरेक्टर्स वर रिक्वायर्ड टू सबमिट कॉपीज ऑफ लेटर्स एंड एडवाइजेस रिसीव्ड फ्रॉम द गवर्नर जनरल इन काउंसिल। एंड अब बात कर लेते हैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट की, जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट एस्टैब्लिश किया था। द रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट प्रोवाइडेड फॉर एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ सुप्रीम कोर्ट of judicature at Fort William, comprising 1 chief justice and 3 other judges. Sir Elijah MP was the first judge. ठीक है, Chief Justice, basically first Chief Justice of this court. It had power to try civil, criminal, admiralty cases, and it had to be court of record. It was given supreme judiciary over all the British subjects, including the provinces of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. The Supreme Court was also made to consider and respect the religious and social customs of Indian diaspora or Indian population. Appeals could be taken from the provincial courts to the Governor General in Council, and from there to King in Council. Okay, so appeals could be taken from provincial courts to the Governor General and Council. कोर्ट से लेकर के आप अगर कोर्ट से खुश नहीं है तो आप गवर्नर जनरल एंड काउंसिल क्या अपील कर सकते हैं, और अगर वहां से भी खुश नहीं है तो किंग एंड काउंसिल को अपील किया जा सकता है। ठीक है, तो दिस वाज द होल सिनेरियो ऑफ जुडिकेचर। नाउ व्हाट वाज द control, what was the status of control? In the control of a company was increased. East India Company was kept under the control of King of England. The system of nominating high officials of the company judges, member of court of directors started, and the court of directors was also required to report on company's revenue, civil and military affairs. This is very important. The court of directors were required to report regarding revenue, civil and military affairs of company in India to the British government directly. Okay, the act prohibited receiving of presents and bribes by the servants of the company in order to check corruption. Okay, no British subject was to charge interest at a rate higher than 12%. So उनका जो बेसिकली उनके जो ब्रिटिश रेजिडेंट्स यहाँ रहते थे उनके ऊपर जो टैक्स लगने थे उसको भी आप इन्होंने regulate कर लिया. The act also settled the salaries of the governor general, governors, chief justice and other judges. Okay, so these were the provisions regarding control over company. So अब बात कर लेते हैं. अब हमारी स्लाइड्स जो हैं वो खत्म हो गई हैं. अब एक बार थोड़ा इसका एनालिसिस कर लेते हैं अपने आप से ही कि इस रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट का इंपॉर्टेंस क्या था. द एक्ट ऑफ 1773 रिकॉग्नाइज द पॉलिटिकल फंक्शंस ऑफ द कंपनी. दे बेसिकली रिकॉग्नाइज द पॉलिटिकल फंक्शंस ऑफ द कंपनी बिकॉज इट asserted for the first time right of the parliament to dictate the form of government, which kind of government is going to be existing in India. It was going to be dictated by the parliament from Britain. This was the most important aspect of this act. It was the first attempt of the British government to centralize the administrative machinery in India. The act set up a written constitution for the British possession in India in place of arbitrary rule of the company. So in short, you can say this act tried to or attempted to codify all the laws or governance happening over in India. A system was introduced to prevent the governor general from becoming autocratic. So this system was introduced in order to keep a check over governor general as well. This act unequivocally established the supremacy of the presidency of Bengal over the others in matters of foreign policy. The regulating act of 1773 made the presidencies of Bombay and Madras subordinate to the governor general and his council. Now no other presidencies could give orders for commencing hostilities with the Indian princes. So war, treaties and everything was going to come under the Governor General of Bengal, because governors of Madras and Bombay were going to be subjugated below it. Okay, so declaring a war or negotiating a treaty was going to be done only by consulting the Governor General of Bengal. It established a Supreme Court at Fort William, Calcutta, and India's modern constitutional history began. So what was the defect then? It seemed so perfect, regulating act 1773, right? So what was the defect then? Where was the problem with this act? The object of the regulating act was good, but the system that it established was imperfect. The act was a medley of inconsistencies with numerous deficiencies. Firstly, if you talk about it, the act rendered the Governor General powerless. The Governor General had almost no powers now because he had the Council of Four, or those Council of Four can overdraw him or overboard him if they do not agree with the Governor General of Bengal, right? So the act rendered the Governor General powerless before his colleagues because he had no veto power. You have to remember, in upcoming videos he will have a veto, but in 1773 he had no veto powers. Governor General had no veto power. This brought difficult times for Warren Hastings. He was outvoted and overruled for most of the times by the members of his council. Further, coming to the members, they were hostile towards Warren Hastings. Secondly, the provision regarding the Supreme Court at Fort Williams were vague. The provisions that were by which the Supreme Court was made, Supreme Court had a conflicting connotation with the Governor General also, right? So the provision regarding the Supreme Court at Fort William were vague and defective. The law did not mention anything regarding the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, that up to this area Supreme Court can give this jurisdiction, or up to this Supreme Court can decide, and up to this Governor General can decide, or his council can decide. So there was a sense of conflict. It also did not demarcate the lines between the power of Governor and Supreme Court. The actions of the servants of the company were brought under the Supreme Court, but this again brought tussle between Governor General and the court, right? So there was a sense of conflict, as I told you. Thirdly, the presidency of Bombay and Madras continued to act on their discretion on pretext of emergencies. Though Bombay and Madras were made subordinate to Bengal, but they were still doing the same thing. They were still acting autonomously, and they were not reporting regarding war, treaties, and they were still fighting with kings and doing war and doing treaties without even informing the presidency of Bengal. Fourthly, the parliament control ineffectively in the sense that there was no concrete arrangement to study and scrutinize the report sent by Governor General and Council. So the parliamentary control was kind of ineffective because they were sitting in London and they were trying to manage the affairs over here, but the reports that were being sent to them was not concrete. They were not the reality. They were just all goody things were being written on the paper and being sent to Britain. Lastly, there was nothing in the act which could address the people of India who were paying revenue to the company but now were dying in the starvation in Bengal, Bihar and Odisha. This last point, that there was nothing for the local people, is always true for the rest of their ruling over Indian people, right? For the whole colonial time, there was nothing for the people regarding their rights. Okay, so how can these defects could be removed? So to check all these defects, they bought the amendment of Act of 1781 and other acts which followed it. After 1781, they will bring a Charter Act of 1793, उसके बाद 1813, उसके बाद आएगा आपका 1833. तो इस तरह ये एक्ट्स आते जाएंगे और चीजें बढ़ती जाएंगी. तो ये था आपका पूरा का पूरा आपका रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट ऑफ 1773 इन क्रक्स, उसके बारे में पूरी इंफॉर्मेशन. ठीक है, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग. कीप सपोर्टिंग, कीप वॉचिंग एंड डू हिट द लाइक बटन एंड डू शेयर विद योर फ्रेंड्स इफ यू थिंक दैट दिस वीडियो इज हेल्पफुल टू यू. थैंक यू सो मच.